Aye. You must get pretty sick of all that sort of thing. But don't worry. Nobody agrees with it, man. No, most white people aren't racist. Well, they don't beat you up or say anything to you. See, most white people don't bother. You think white people are racist, do you?
White lines.
No, on the whole, not really.
Why not to my knowledge, you know.
I mean, some parts are.
White to a certain extent.
Listen up, Jody Whites, listen up to me. I hear what you say about guys like me. You say there's no racism in this town, but if you stop and look, it's all around. It ain't just a national front, you see. It's all you whites say, you're just like me. There ain't that many of us around, so you don't get a chance to hear our sound. Because there ain't been no rights in this town, I don't mean you ain't putting us down. I can take all your violence and abuse, but if you try to make me feel bad, it ain't no use. You say it's the color of our skin, but what you just said don't mean a thing. Young people out there, don't be afraid. We just want equal rights, not to be the same.
Born here and white.
Most people say being born here or being white.
I don't know. I mean, like to be born in Britain, you're British.
Born in Britain, that's British. Doesn't matter what colour you are, born in Britain, you're British.
By being born in Britain, in a British passport and that. Not that I've got a passport.
Born here? Well, if they were born here, they're British citizens, aren't they? So, but white kids don't take them as British just because of their skin colour. Well, even if they're born here, I mean, they're still going to say, oh, you're dark, you don't belong here, even if you are born here.
I've never been to Pakistan, so this is me home.
Do you know what? People are always saying things. You know, white people, like, oh, they're coming and taking over our jobs, or they're living off our social security, or they're having huge families and talking funny languages. And then you get somebody coming up to you saying something like, where'd you come from? And you turn around and say, Gateshead. And they say, no, but where'd you come from originally? And you turn around and say, well, I was born in the Newcastle RVI. They still don't understand. Now, I'm not white, but I am British.
I mean, see, my cousin at Birmingham, he got beaten up by a bunch of white lads. He got knifed at the back. And when my dad heard about that, he wouldn't let my brother out of the house. You can't just stay in it, you're not going to the park or anything. My brother can't, oh, come on, let's go to the park. My dad wouldn't, my dad can't, you hear what's happening to your cousin. My brother can't, it's not going to happen to me, my dad can't, you never know.
He's got chased by this gang of blokes on this bus, tell him.
Yeah, well, we were walking through town, you see, and it was myself and my brother and the white boy. There was just the three of us walking in town. And about 7 whites, about the age of 20, they approached us. And as they got closer, they started to shout National Front. As they got closer, they shouted it louder. And so we thought they were just joking on and were going to walk straight past. But they came straight for us. So myself and my brother turned around and ran. But the white boy who was with us, he just stood still, and they went straight past him and chased us. Chased us for a long time. And we just had to run and lose them somewhere.
Colour. It's all his colour.
I'm black, you're white. You ask me what it's like, but all you want to hear is how we take that shite. It's more to racism that meets the eye. It's in your mind, you don't need to try. Let me tell you what happened just the other day. I went to a club just down my way. Everybody was dancing on the floor, but they stopped when I walked through the door. I thought, hey, party people, you know, good style. But it was my skin they saw all the while. All along I've been trying to say I put up with this kind of thing every day. You all look at me with those suspicious eyes, as if to say I'm from the skies. I can't take your shouts of abuse, cause I know they ain't no use. No use, no use, no use.
The colour kid can pick up anything, you know what I mean? I can tell when someone's being racist towards me, but the white kid next to us, they couldn't, you know what I mean? They couldn't tell.
I don't think I am a racialist. I mean, I'm not brought into contact with Asian people, you know what I mean? Because there's not really none living around here. I mean, I only met one Asian person, that was at school. And I mean,
Used to get on okay?
I was a kid at junior school. I used to knock around with her, and I went to her house once. She was alright with me, alright. She goes, "Oh, do you want to come to my house?" Dinner, Amy was as well. It was about 4th year junior school, right? Shanford actually.
Oh, right.
Right, and she goes, "Oh, do you want to come to my house to dinner?" I'm fine, alright, come on, let's go. So we went to her house. You should have seen the look our parents were giving her. I swear, they looked as if they were going to kill her. I mean, they didn't say anything. They were dead like uneasy and uptight, you know, just sitting there. And I sat down and I started looking around like this. And Shan was alright with it. She goes, "Oh, how we come to my bedroom?" I goes, "Oh, no, it doesn't matter, I'll just sit here." And our parents were just giving her looks as if they'd kill her. I mean, they didn't say anything then, but I knew for a fact when I'd gone, right, they would give her a good telling off. Say one thing, I never went back to her house.
There's a lot more prejudice than people let on to be, you know. I mean, like, some people are prejudiced, but they don't like show it, you know what I mean, until you get approached by a coloured person or whatever.
On the bus, this old woman was sitting there, and I just, I walked on. There was no other seat, so I sat there, so here she is doing this.
Racism is when you've got some kind of power, being like a boss of a company or something like that. When I go in for a job, you've got power there to say he can have a job or he can't, right? But that's not all. It's not just big companies. Racism is when somebody my age is at the youth club or something. There'll be a lot of people there sitting saying, "Oh, like, I can't be racist because I've got no power, because I've got no money." That's got nothing to do with it. You can be with your friends, and I walk into your youth club and your club together, then you've all got collective power there, and you can make me feel very uncomfortable when I walk in. That's racism.
You say we take your jobs, there aren't enough for you, but the kind of jobs we do weren't good enough for you. Don't blame us for the mess you put yourselves in, because you can't expect us to change the color of our skin.
Like people who have been unemployed for a while, you know, and they're starting to get sick of it, and they want somebody to blame.
Most of the blacks have jobs that are not really respected. They give them the lower jobs or that are not the well-paid jobs, but some of them have jobs anyway. So in most cases, I think there's more blacks unemployed than there are whites.
How can we take your jobs when there's people stopping one there? And every time we go for something, somebody's saying he's not getting the job because he's black. So I know unemployment's bad, but we find it 5 times as hard as you do to try and get a job.
Yeah, Bill, you know the delivery you're giving us for the nuts and bolts? You're saying 12 weeks. Well, sorry, but we need them in 6. Yes, come in! The reason being is we've gotten more orders than we expected. So I was wondering, have you any ex-stock? You have, okay then. Right, get in touch with Martin in purchasing and let him know, and he'll tell you all the delivery side. Bill, sorry about this, can I get in touch with you within 5 minutes? Yeah, I've got a little bit of a problem, okay? Bye. Yes?
I've come for the job.
What job?
I phoned up 10 o'clock this morning.
Name?
Shaw.
I'm sorry, there's no Shaw here.
Well, I made an appointment at 3 o'clock.
Have a Mr. Shaw here?
No, it's Shaw.
How would you spell that, Mr. Shaw?
It's S-H-A-H.
Okay, then. Tell me, what sort of experience have you had, then?
Well, I've been doing the same job with another firm. Well, I did it for about 2 years, and I was unemployed for nearly a year, but I did do some voluntary work while I was unemployed.
Yes, Mr. Shaw. I've got to see 1 or 2 people this afternoon. You do have a telephone?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay, now you leave your number with my assistant, and she'll get in touch with you within 5 days, okay?
Oh,
Okay, you can see yourself out the door, can't you?
yeah, certainly.
Well, like, Asians are just in the same position as the blacks. So, I mean, they don't get much chance to work like any other white boys, so they've got to go set out and do their own business. And then these white people start to get jealous and starting smashing up the shops and warehouses, things like that. Like my dad always says, he says if you want to live in this country and things like that, you've got to, if being black, you've got to try and start off doing your own business, because you have to work twice as hard if you're going to work for a white man.
Racial prejudice is learned by, you grow up with it, you cannot avoid it. With school it's there. If you sit next to a black person in school, you make you taken, and you learn to cut the black people off. If you feel that way in your own little gag, then as you grow up, go to football match, same thing. As you get older, like stereotype of Garnet. But if you've got different views to other people, like my age, they cut you off.
I don't know, it's this comedian. He's kind of fattish and he's got black hair. And well, he was making a joke about this Sikh and about a turban or something. And my dad goes, what the hell is he on about, you know what I mean? What gives him the right to stand there in front of the television and say jokes about that when he knows there'll be like Asian viewers watching, you know what I mean? It isn't right.
You copy most of the things your parents do. You get habits and that off them. Like, you start to believe what they think. But like when you start to get a bit older, when you've left school and that, you start to practicing in the real world, and you start to find things out for yourself. Find out how wrong they can be.
Being racist in the older generation, they are, some of them. It's all down to their fathers, isn't it? And their fathers' fathers. I mean, we're getting the backwash now.
I think you grew up with it. Like all the kids, hanging about the street and all that, you really grew up with it. Like, I was never racist totally to turn around to someone and say, oh, go on, for any reason. When I started knocking about shops and different places and all that, all the lads and all that, oh, there's a wog, let's kick him in, stuff like that, totally no reason. I think it was just growing up with the kids and that. It's just the idea that you get that wogs are against you and you are against them, and it's not like that at all.
It's not just ones and twos, come out with racist views. It's all you whites today, give us racist blues. Remember when you took our wealth and then you took our sweat. You didn't stop and even think how we might have felt. You try to make us think that we're not as good as you, but now we know that's whack, and it just ain't true. You brought us to your land to work and take a part, but now the work is done, we just want to make a start. Because going back to the slave trade, they expected all blacks, to do what they told and do things for the whites. And now that the blacks are doing what they want, and they don't always have to, do what the white person says. Some people are not used to that fact and still expect us to be lower than them,
My dad, right, he got invited to this country by the Queen, like a letter saying, want to help you to, help this country for the economy and that. That's why we came here to work. We didn't come down with guns and, stuff like that, come down and say, all right, we want the country, We just come here because we're invited, and that's it.
One slogan that makes me mad is it says, if they're black, send them back. And if this country did send all coloured people back, and all the other coloured countries retaliated and just sent the English people back to this country, there'd be total chaos here, because there's more English people over in different countries than there is black people in this country.
I think the National Front are using the Asians as a scapegoat for employment because they see Asian people getting on in the world with jobs and that, like trying to get their own business off the ground and that, working every hour God sends. And there's white people who haven't got jobs.
There's millions of white people with businesses. There's only the odd black really round about in there. But the National Front, they're not just doing that. They're not just like going against black people. They're going against, like, they're starting to turn against different languages and everything. No.
Like breakdancing for one, they think it's obscure. They see white people and black people doing the same thing and joining together and like having one common interest. They'll ban it. They'll have to ban all music then. Especially reggae. They have to ban that. I mean, because I for one, I love reggae. It's great. And I'm white. So, and black people, it's their music. So they'll have to ban that. Crazy, man.
I think they're very violent. They show a lot of their means in their violence, which doesn't solve anything at all.
Like, there's a kid lives right next door to, right, my mum and dad really get on with him, you know, because my mum and dad, right, got boarding houses and that, you know, they run them, right, we both get on across the road, right. Well, her son's a bit of a cracker, you know.
You alright? I'm just gone in here. You'll never guess who's moved in next door to us. Packies. The old lady's gone spare.
It's not right, all them darkies, everywhere you can.
Because, you know what he does? I swear down, he sits, he like calls your names and that, right? But I just take it as a joke, you know, because if I humour him, right, you think, oh, well, he's not bothered, he's not that serious, you know. And then when the sun comes out, he goes out, I swear, he takes his sweater off and gets suntan. I'm just sitting there laughing my head off in the house.
I'll be glad when I'm out of it after a couple of weeks, you know, in Spain. One thing about Spain, you don't see any darkies. Well, I best get me tan started. I don't want to be looking too white when I get on the beach.
You know how the English mind works. I know they've got different viewpoints and that, but I still don't understand how exactly it works.
I see, the hardest thing in the world to do is question what you're doing yourself. Nobody likes to be told they're wrong or they're not doing something right. You know, it's very, very hard. And you pass it off, you say, well, they're doing it, or he's doing it, or everybody else does it. So I might as well.
We went away on a weekend to Throckmorton, and I was racist, you know, growing up and all the rest of it. And then we're coming back in the van, and I was talking away to him, and he turns round to me and I says, well, I've been telling jokes to each other. I says, oh, I've got a joke for you, but you might not like it, it's racist, you know. He says, oh, Kev, I'd rather not hear it, you know. He says, nothing against you, no less, but I'd rather not hear it. Then we got on talking about blacks and that, and he says how, like, blacks are probably more British than me. And I never realised any of that. And then I just turned around and says, oh, what the hell, you know?
To get people to change their mind, I think all you've got to do is sit down, go to the pub with them. It's the best way. Talk to them like that. That's the only way to get through to them. Really. Some people anyway. But with others, you can't deal out with them. Just cut themselves off. It's a barrier.
If they had to become more like us, why shouldn't we become more like that?
Being like coloured is more interesting. I mean, being English is just straightforward.
We should accept part of your culture, right? And we go around wearing, you know, jackets and stuff like that, and Indian girls go around, you know, wearing, you know, trousers and that. We're accepting, right? But at the same time, we won't forsake all our culture. We'll accept part of it, attitudes and everything, you know. We'll go beyond a certain limit. We won't go beyond that.
You know, if any of the kids pick on you, just like, you know, backchat them, then they'll stop it. I mean, they're just big-mouthed. That's all they can't say to the coloured kids. I mean, there's nothing else they can't pick on, apart from their colour.
Anybody asks you if you're racist, just tell them. Simple as that. If they say you're non-racist, and you've said you're non-racist, they hate you, that's all you can do about it.
There's been loads of times when I've been fighting with white lasses for just like calling names. And I mean, but my mum and dad have brought us up here, and like I've just been brought up with my English mates. And if somebody says something like that to them, they go and chin them. So I say, well, it's the same thing with me.
I suppose that doesn't bother you. Bothers me though, a lot. Every time I walk past this, it really bugs me. You're probably saying to yourself, so what, it's a bit of writing. But it's the thought behind the writing. That's what bugs me. You probably turn around to yourself and say, I didn't write it on, what's he going on about? That doesn't matter. Every time you see this and you walk past, you're part of it. You ignore it, you say, well, I didn't write it on, so it's not my problem. I don't think like that. If you really don't think like that, and you really don't want to be a racist, every time you walk past something like this, then you'll rub it off. Or if you see somebody writing it on, you'll tell them about it. That's not being racist.
Remember, it's not our color that's strange, it's your attitude to folks like me that stops you seeing reality. So stop and think how nice it would be if we could all live in harmony. You might just say the world was wrong, it's you, that's why I'm singing this song. Don't just say, well, I'm okay, it's up to you to lead the way. Show your friends that you really care, make sure you tell them it just ain't fair. So listen to these words I say, don't just turn and walk away, cause we are black and that is me. We've got to share the fruits of our tree. White lines.